Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm just going to be going back to basics and showing you how to create this simple cut on your arm using products that you'll be able to find really easily and also stuff you might have around the house. So first thing I'm going to do is just use this Nye Scar Wax and use some moisturiser. This is just a simple moisturiser, but you can just use any on the back of a spoon to get the scar wax out of the pot so it doesn't stick. Just rolling this into a ball to make it a bit more manageable, then putting a little bit more moisturiser on my hand so the scar wax doesn't stick, and then basically I'm just making like a sausage shape. Also rolling this on the table as well because my hands got a little bit too warm. Now I'm using some spirit gum. This step is optional, but I do find that it actually helps the scar wax stick to the skin a bit better and easier when you're blending it out as well. So for application of this spirit gum, basically you just want to tap it on your arm or the surface until it gets tacky. Then I'm just applying the scar wax and just pushing it into place basically. It might move around a little bit, but if you just gently push it, it should be fine. Just taking some moisturiser again and just putting it on the back of a teaspoon. Again, this is just something you can find anywhere, it doesn't have to be any fancy tool. Then just starting to blend this out. Again, this can be a little bit tricky. As you can see in the video, it starts to pull up on the sides a little bit, but obviously you just need to go with it and just try your best. I do recommend blending the middle first and then going on to the sides. It just makes it a little bit more stable to work with. At this point you just need to work with it. As you can see, the back of the spoon works really well, and I'm basically just going back to the moisturiser and then blending some more out, but just make sure it doesn't start sticking to the spoon. Again, taking a little bit more moisturiser and then starting blending out with my fingers. This step is basically just going back and forth, just making sure it blends seamlessly into the skin. Blending out thoroughly is really important because it basically means that it's going to look more realistic at the end because it looks like it's part of your skin and not just stuck on. So for the bits right next to the cut, I do just get a bit of moisturiser and basically just smooth it out, as you can see here, and this is what it looks like before any colour. So the first step to add in any colour is basically to match the scar as close as possible to your skin tone. I'm just using a matte foundation here and just a simple wedge sponge. Again here, just like everything else, it's really important to blend it out into the skin, even if it means going a little bit farther out. Then just using a loose translucent powder, but you can just use any powder you have on hand, and just going over the cut because it looks a bit too shiny right now. I need to make it look more matte, more like skin. Here I'm just basically just creating the indents of where the cut is actually going to be. I'm using a cuticle pusher, but you just use anything that is basically thin enough to get in the cut. I would not recommend a knife, obviously this is not very safe. I also have a little bit of moisturiser on this tool, so obviously it doesn't stick. Moisturiser is kind of a necessity when you're working with scar wax. Of course you could also use something like Vaseline. Also using the same tool just to pull the wound open a little bit. Just play around with it a little bit. As you can see, I thought it was a little bit too wide here, so I used my fingers just to close it. So the main colours I use here are these cream colours from Kryolan. I used the black, the green and the red and just basically mixed it together. So here I'm just taking some black cream paint. You can also use face paint, it doesn't matter. And then I mixed in a little bit of red, basically just to make a really deep rouge colour. Using a really thin application brush here, this is actually a nail art brush, and just applying this dark colour into the deepest parts of the wound. With the excess product as well and the same brush, I'm just going to be applying a tiny dab of the same colour just on the top of the scar. Again, with minimal product, just applying some on the edges because this is where the skin would become irritated. The same colour again, minimal product, but this time on a fluffy brush. As you can see, it just makes the skin look a lot more irritated. I am using a tiny bit of the green here as well, just to make the skin look a bit more bruised. Also, don't be afraid to use your fingers as well, because the warmth really helps with blending. My one recommendation here is to find a blood which has a bit of a deeper undertone. This just makes it look a bit more realistic. As you can see, this one is a stage blood. This is also where your wound starts to truly come to life. Again, as you can see, it's starting to look really realistic now, because obviously a wound is nothing without a bit of blood. Also, with the excess on the brush, I'm just applying a tiny bit to the top, because obviously this wouldn't look all pretty. After the fake blood, I do like to use something that is a bit more shiny. So here I'm using food glycerin, but you can also use hair gel. And again, you can see how much more realistic this starts to look. And this is also a great way to make the wound look a bit more fresh. Applying the excess just a tiny bit onto the top as well, because obviously there would be a little bit more blood here. Making sure it also goes out to the sides, and this is the finished product. I really hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to subscribe, comment and like, and I hope to see you next time. Bye!